Okay, so hello everyone, my name is Andrew Bluff. I'm from the UTS Animal Logic Academy, and as we just heard, I'm here to talk about recursive interactions in a miniature meta world. So I've always kind of been interested in the concept in sort of comical science fiction of miniature worlds, miniature civilizations. So if we look up in the corner in Men in Black, there's an alien civilization living inside a train locker. Down here we have Lisa Simpson creating her own civilization in a petri dish based around her tooth. Rick and Morty, Rick the mad scientist actually made a miniature civilization to power his car battery. And he found out the car battery wasn't working, so he went inside the miniature world and found out that the miniature world had created a miniature world, and so on and so on. And Inception, of course, not miniatures, but it deals with worlds within worlds, realities and realities. So it made me kind of think, what if our own world was its own miniature world? What the hell does that mean? So, introducing the miniature meta world. If you imagine standing here in an office cubicle, you have a desk, you have a chair, you have a laptop computer, a plant, and on top of the desk is a miniature model of an office cubicle with a plant, a chair, a desk, etc. If you actually go and grab the chair that's in front of you, roll it across the room, you'll see the miniature chair inside the miniature model also roll across the room. It's exactly the same world as the full-size world. Vice versa, if you go into the miniature world, pick up the miniature chair, throw it out the window, the chair next to you will fly out the window. So you get the idea, it's a miniature version of the own world in your own world. Obviously, we can't make this in reality because, well, not yet anyway. So I decided to make it in virtual reality. And I've built a meta world using Unity with Steam VR, HTC Vive, which basically included building a virtual reality display inside the virtual reality display. So I had to create a camera and a render texture per eye. The render texture would float inside the 3D world, and it would always orient towards the viewer, so it was always facing you. And the camera would always angle itself so that it's the same angle as your head to the miniature world, but scaled far off in the distance, like 200 k's off in the distance, so it's capturing the full world that you're inside. This actually creates a very convincing miniature model, 3D miniature model inside the virtual world, but of course we want to interact with it because that's when fun happens. So we place an interaction zone around the miniature model, and when anything goes inside the interaction zone, it's actually scaled up and placed inside the full scale world at the appropriate position. So if you imagine grabbing a ping pong ball and dropping it onto the miniature chair in the miniature world, you will find a giant size beach ball size ping pong ball fall onto the full size chair next to you. So it's transporting it into the miniature model, into the real world, so it looks right from the miniature model's perspective. So to have some fun with this, I created a meta city, which is kind of an urban sandbox for just for playing around. And you can see there it's about 4 urban blocks of buildings, cars, etc. And you can see here there's the user has stuck their VR hand inside the miniature model, which then gets scaled up and located above them in the sky and lets them pick up a building. So it's actually, although they look like they're interacting here, it's actually the giant hand that's picking up the giant building over there. And you can sort of to and fro between the different views as you like. So playing with this, I had a good fun sort of like messing around the city and just seeing what mayhem I could cause. And I came up with 4 major types of interaction. The first of those is experiential planning. So this is probably the most beneficial, to be honest. You can urban plan, you can architecturally design buildings whilst you're actually inside them. So you don't have to go and do your little model and then go over your computer and see what it looks like inside, vice versa. You know, you're moving the building here and you're in the real world watching the building move, so you get that instant feedback. So the next fun thing was interdimensional transformations. So any of the objects that you go and pick up, So I put my hand into the miniature world, pull out a giant skyscraper. In my hand, I'm now holding a miniature skyscraper, and the full-size one is gone. So it's a way to transport the size of these objects to and from. Likewise, as we heard, I could throw a tennis ball into the miniature world, and a giant tennis ball comes through the sky and smashes into the buildings. So we can resize objects, bigger or smaller. So the tennis ball thing also talks about falling out of the world. So if we throw the tennis ball at some buildings, they fall out of the 4-block radius of our meta world. They don't disappear, they end up falling outside the miniature model. So there's no way to actually escape a meta world, because as soon as you escape it, you end up as a miniature model falling out of the miniature world in the full-size world. Sorry. The other thing you can play with is called the power of the gods. So obviously we're a giant Godzilla-like creature looking over the miniature world, and we can have lots of fun with that. So you can pick up the miniature world in your hand, and you can just slowly tilt it like a little tilt ball sort of game, and you'll find all the cars start rolling out, and if you tilt it enough, the buildings start falling out from under you as well. So you can go a step further, act like a snow globe. You can shake up the miniature world, and all of the buildings and all the cars and everything just start flying up around you in this huge dust storm, which is fun for a couple of seconds, but then everything's just destroyed. You can also bend the miniature world. So I very crudely implemented that, to be honest. But you could pick up the miniature world from each side, fold it in the middle, and you would have an inception-like effect where the buildings to the left you would come at an angle like that, and the buildings to the right come like that, which was quite fun and interesting, except again, they just sort of crushed each other and ended up flying off. So fun for a bit. Something that was more interesting and more useful, perhaps, is the Metaworld has a full sun system as well. So you can see there's a sun up above the buildings up there, which is lighting the shadows of the buildings and the cars, etc. So if you want to change the time of day and maybe see what the sun looks like in the west of your city, you can just reach inside your miniature model world, pick up the sun. You can see there's a little sun just down here. You can just pick it up, move it to the other side of the miniature world, and then you can see what the lighting conditions look like over the other side of the world. Going one step further, you can pick up the sun and pull it out of the world. And then the world goes into darkness, so you've got a night cycle, and just the user's left holding a miniature sun in their hand, which they can use as a little lamp and carry it around with them. The final sort of stage of craziness I played with was dubiously called self-manipulation. And here it's just really fun sitting inside a world, putting your hand inside a miniature world, and seeing a giant hand come down from the sky like the hand of God and be able to puppet that around the world. That actually just gave me like half an hour of just fun just doing that, to be honest. Then that takes you to self-relocation. So the hand's coming down from the sky, you can just pick yourself up from the miniature world and drag you to anywhere in the location. So if you want to travel to the other side of the city, you just pick up your miniature body, place you on the other side. First 5 times I did this, a little bit freaked out, a little bit motion sick, to be honest, because you're effectively flying super fast over the city while you're doing it, moving it with your hands. Then I was totally fine with it, and it's actually a really good way to transport yourself around the city. So I don't know, give it a go. It's a wild ride. So this is just sort of the start of this kind of testing and research. In the future, I've started dabbling with it, but I haven't really done much with it, is multiple meta worlds. So what happens when you've got 2 miniature meta worlds of the meta worlds in there together? So maybe you've got one that's a bigger meta world and one that's a smaller one. Obviously, you can pick up buildings from the small one, place them in the big one. You'll scale buildings up and down like that. If you smash a building or a car and tip it over the edge, like I said, they fall out of the miniature models. So now you've got 2 miniature models. what happens is it actually duplicates itself. So you've got a duplication machine where you can just throw objects off the side of the world and you're creating objects. Then what happens if you make cascading loops? So let's say you have 3 meta worlds. You place one up here, one down here, and one down here, and tipple objects from the top down into the next one, which then falls down into the next one, etc. You have this crazy sort of recursive waterfall of objects being self-created, falling from the sky in different, teleporting around the area, resizing themselves. It's a bit crazy. The one thing I haven't put on there is what happens if you pick up one of the meta worlds and put it inside one of the other meta worlds. Answer is I don't know. I think the space-time continuum would collapse, but you know, I'll find out. Gotta try it. So it's all a bit of fun and craziness, but what are the potential uses? So I think there's a real potential use in architectural and city planning, where you can obviously see, you know, easily manipulate your buildings, your city, whatever, whilst you're inside it. Experiential planning. Game design is another obvious thing where you're building worlds. So it's great to have an overview while you're building it. I think it'd be a great Portal-style game mechanic, so creating all sorts of physics mayhem. Historical education, so you might want to see the outside of the Colosseum while you're inside the Colosseum and scale through time, etc. Medical training. What happens, we saw a VR demo out there of like splicing DNA and playing with DNA. What if you could see the effects of the body on the body while you're inside the body playing around with things? You know, that kind of thing where you get the overview and inside view together. And something particular to my sort of interest as well, where I've done a lot of experimental music works, is what if a musical note or a musical sound has a physical object in the world, and then you could drag that in and out of meta worlds to resize them, resample them. You then have a really interesting sort of DJ sample box where you can create sounds and loops of sounds inside the worlds with a physical manifestation. Anyway, watch this space, I'll probably make one. So we'll see what that's like. This is a little VR performance I did, by the way, with a VR drummer over the side, playing a real drum kit, playing alongside a real drummer on a VR drum kit. So you can imagine throwing Metaworld in there and who knows what will happen. So in conclusion, I've had some fun with Metaworlds, miniature worlds, and I hope that you all think about chucking one in your VR applications and having some fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. Very great talk. And now I would ask all of our speakers to take a seat here in front so we can ask questions. So, are there any questions? Don't be shy. In the back.
Knock, knock. Okay. Thank you everyone for the presentation. It's very interesting.